Yo. So today I'm going to take you through a little pre-running routine that you can use to get warmed up. So if you get knee pain, hip or ankle pain whilst running, or even pain in the lower back, I definitely recommend starting off with this routine. It's quite a simple one. It's fairly straightforward. It shouldn't take you too long. And it's a great little warm-up for any kind of outdoor activity that you're going to be doing. I'd still recommend that after doing this routine, you build into the running gradually. So this will get you going a little bit, and then maybe build up your running with a bit of a walk or a bit of an amble along just for a couple of minutes, then build into a jog, and then build into your actual running speed. And if you're doing a proper running session, if you're working on speed and distances or thresholds or anything like that, then work up to your running pace gradually. Don't just go outside and smash it straight away. So for this little routine, you're just going to need two pieces of equipment. Number one, I've got a little lacrosse ball. You can use a golf ball, a hockey ball, a cricket ball, something that's just round and fairly solid. That will definitely do the trick. And then the second thing that you're going to need is a foam roller or piece of PVC pipe. Just something that's fairly sturdy and is going to support your body weight and not crack under any weight that you put on it. So we're going to be doing a little bit of myofascial release to start off with. That basically means kind of ironing out any tight, sticky muscle tissue or tendons or anything like that. So we're going to be working hard on that. A couple of key areas: foot and ankle, obviously, because that's in contact with the ground and that's putting all the force in. Then the second area is working so like hip to knee to loosen up any muscle tissue around there. So we do get very, very tight and stiff through the hips, mainly looking at muscles like the vastus lateralis or tensor fasciae latae. So if you do get knee pain, you might have something that's termed as runner's knee. Those muscles are essentially crossing the knee joint and pulling the patella into the knee, into the joint, which causes that extra friction, just gives you that little bit of pain, that little bit of feedback that you don't want, whether it's mid-run or the day after. We don't want to get any of that. We want to avoid all kinds of pain associated with it. So if exercise is causing ongoing pain, then you're less likely to maintain it long term, which is why we want to try and treat those things beforehand and address any postural things from the very get-go. So I'm going to take you through it. We've got 5 exercises or 5 sort of key movements that we're going to be looking at. Number 1, we're going to start off with some myofascial release on the foot to help release sort of like that ankle joint and get any stiffness out of there. So get your little lacrosse ball or your hockey ball, pop it on the floor, and then you're going to spend 2 minutes on each foot putting some gradual downward pressure on all the way through, along the ball of the foot, along the arch, right up to the heel. All right, so I'll show you what's going on with if I do it on my hand. So let's say that this is my foot. I'm placing the ball on my foot and I'm working all the way up, and then I'm coming across and I'm coming all the way back down. Imagine you're mowing your lawn. That's essentially the process that we're doing to make sure we hit any areas that have potentially got a little bit of stiffness or a bit of irritation to them. If you find a spot that is particularly sore, hold the pressure on it, okay? Don't ease off, just hold the pressure on it. Concentrate on your breathing, relax into it, relax into the lacrosse ball, let it take some of the pressure through. And then once it eases off, carry on with that rolling pattern and keep working through, okay? So 2 minutes on either foot. Once you've done that, you can ditch your ball. You're gonna need your roller, okay? So quite commonly, what we might refer to as the IT band is this really thick band of tendon, like kind of gristly tissue that connects muscles from so like hip to knee, all right? Now, we can't necessarily hit that directly, but we're looking at the connective tissue that goes into the IT band. So those muscles that I mentioned before, we're just looking at hitting that general area. So you're just gonna pop the foam roller on the floor by your knee, and you're going to keep your bottom leg straight. Your top leg comes in front, and that's going to help you control the pressure. From here, you can notice I've got this arm straight. That's going to help control my body position. If you need some extra support, use your other hand, your free hand. Use that to support your weight, and you're just going to gradually, gently, very, very gently. This is probably going to be very painful if you've never done it before. Slide your body weight all the way down to the knee and then all the way back up to the hip in a very same way that I showed you with the lacrosse ball. You're working in those patterns as if you were cutting your grass up and down. The way that we change it on the roller is by angling your torso slightly further towards the floor. All right, so you're going to have 2 minutes again on each leg with this one. Key thing with this is that you do not work across the knee joint, okay? The knee joint, we need it to be very, very stable. Throughout our exercise, we don't want it to be wobbly. And also, if we take the roller to here, there's no muscular tissue there. It's just working across the bone. We're not going to impact on bone with this, and we don't want to anyway. So 2 minutes each leg, working all the way through the muscular tissue here. Just imagine that your roller is a giant rolling pin, and you're working across those quads all the way up to the hip, okay? Now, the next 3, we're going to do them as a sequence. So number 1, we've got an active calf stretch. So we're going to basically pedal our feet whilst doing this. We do want to get a little bit of activation at the same time as getting a bit of a stretch through the Achilles tendon, and just try and encourage a little more dorsiflexion through the foot. So dorsiflexion of the foot is essentially plantar flexion, where you point your toes away. Dorsiflexion is where you pull your toes up towards you. We want to be able to get as much as possible whilst we're running. So that indicates good ankle mobility and means that we're actually impacting the floor properly with a forefoot strike and not landing on the heel all the time. Then we're going to look at the hip flexors. I'm going to stretch off, loosen up there. So if we get very, very tight through the front of our hips here, that flex us, kind of pulls us into that position here. When we're running, we're essentially trying to do that, and we're cranking up through the lower back. That's where all the force is going to go through our lower back. So we need everything to be stacked directly from ankles, hip, up into the shoulder, and then head in line as well. All right, so if you're leaning really far forwards, that's going to be a poor indicator of posture. It's essentially going to mean that you're just going to smash your lower back to pieces whilst you're running. The last one is we're going to look to activate the opposite way. So the glutes are massive postural muscles. They will help keep us upright. All right, so they're going to help extend the hip, keep us supported as much as possible, and allow us to drive through our stride whilst we're running. So we're going to work through that sequence. We're going to go through it 2 times. All right, so you're going to do 2 rounds of this. Once you've done that, that's when you're good to go. Get out the door, go for a bit of a walk, build up into your running. So calf stretch versus the wall. Everyone should have one of these in the house, obviously. All right, we're going to plant both feet next to each other. I'm going to start with one knee flexed, the other one straight. I'm trying to put my weight into this heel so my right leg is relaxed. And then I'm just going to pedal my feet up and down, pushing through my calves. 20 reps on each leg. Okay, so I'm getting a good little bit of ankle flexion at this point here on this leg. Pushing that knee down as much as possible, and then pushing back through, dropping that heel to the floor. Work through that. You can also do that in a push-up position as well. So I'll give you an idea as to what that looks like. You're going to drop down into your push-up position, drop your heel away, and then just pedal your knees, drop them to the floor, and push that heel away as much as you possibly can. The next one, hip flexors. Okay. You're going to drop, take a knee, stay straight from knee into your hip and your shoulder, relax the hips, drop them back, and then you're going to pull your belly button in and squeeze your hips through. Imagine that you're trying to get your hips, if they're angled down here, and then you're trying to pull them level that way, tucking tight through that belly button, making sure that you're stacked, knee, hip, and then your shoulder as well. Relax. Pull the hips through, squeeze your bum. You should be able to feel a stretch down the outside of the hip. Then relax. You're just going to do 5 reps each side. If you're feeling quite comfortable with that, then we can extend it a little bit further, where you're going to do the same thing. You're going to drop the hips through. You're going to take the arm on the same side, and you're going to reach across, lean, and that's going to open up that whole lateral aspect there. Breathe in, relax. So breathe in at the bottom, where there's no tension. And then as you push through the stretch, that's where you're gonna breathe out and relax. Okay, the last one is a glute bridge, so that's just to get the hips firing even more. So you're just gonna drop down onto your back, feet flat up towards your bum, knees bent. You want the knees at hip width apart. That's where we're gonna try to keep them, okay? So you're gonna squeeze the hips up, push your hands down into the floor, activate your upper back, squeeze the knees towards each other, and down, touch, and then go again straight away. Touch and go, keep your head down. So we don't want the knees flaring way out to the side. All right, we're not giving birth. Sorry, not the best image there for you. So we're not giving birth and we don't want to squeeze them all the way in, okay? We want to keep them in line with the hips, all right? So think about the center of your hip bones here. Keep the knees in line, not like a frog way out to the side or knock-kneed way in. Okay, we want 20 reps through on that. Once you've done those 20 reps, you're going to go back round to the start where you did your calf stretch, whether it was against the wall or in the push-up position. Then your hip flexor stretch again with another 5 each side, and then one final round of glute bridges, and then off you go. Once you get back from your run, I recommend do a bit of a cool down. Nothing wrong with going through that whole routine again. The more you do afterwards, in that same style, doing a bit of myofascial release and soft tissue work, the faster your recovery is going to be, okay? If you've got any questions on this little routine, give me a shout and I'll help you out with that, okay? Peace, good luck with your running. LENKO out.